Well, I reckon this has changed in the last couple of weeks because I would have said a few weeks ago that I thought that Philadelphia, Stu spoke about it being a distressed asset, but the Sixers absolutely contributed to that being a distressed asset when you look at the way they responded after the postseason game. That's a fact. But I think in the offseason for Ben Simmons, he could easily have looked at this. And I admit, I thought that potentially they would trade him before the season started. But if not, that's fine. We've seen situations like James Harden in the past and these stars. Look, Harden, I wouldn't say was playing 100% last year, but he was at least there. He played some games. They worked towards a trade. This was the worst possible path you could go down to not show up to training camp. And then the problem is that when you show up a week later, everyone knows that you're there just because you've all of a sudden realized you're not getting paid. So now you show up to practice, but you show no effort. And then you get kicked out of practice. So for mine right now, whether it's Ben Simmons that doesn't want to be there and he's not that interested in playing basketball, we don't know. I mean, I've heard multiple people have that opinion that maybe he just needs a break. Maybe he's not in the right mental space right now to play. That's fine. But I don't know whether it's Ben or it's his management, but that camp right now, I don't know whether he got some bad advice, but it's terrible because eventually he's going to have to come back and play. And he's going to have to come back and contribute and compete. Because if not, no one's trading for him. That's the way I see it right now. Because why would you? And the Sixers aren't going to give him away for a bag of chips, which right now, that's what every team in the league is trying to get Ben Simmons for.
This is hard because I know we're not supposed to agree on a debate club, but I do tend to agree a little with Kane. I've switched a few times on this. And reading Ramona Sheldon's excellent piece at the weekend, I actually had some sympathy for Ben, talking about how his experiences around the end of the season and how he felt and how he feels like he wants to be able to make mistakes. He wants to be in an environment where he can fail. And Philadelphia wasn't that environment for him. But man, he's lost a PR war this week. Just the images of him on that first practice, the look in his face, the phone in the pocket, and then everything that has happened subsequently. This is not the way to force himself out of a team. This is not a way to force a team to trade him. Because Daryl Morey said today, this is going to be a long-term thing. He's not looking to trade him today. So I just think they've handled this really poorly. And once they got to the point where the dream move to California wasn't going to happen, there was no avenue for him to get to the Clippers, the Lakers, the Warriors, even the Kings now aren't even looking at it. That was when they needed to take a shift in their stance and how they handled this situation. And they haven't. He turned up because he wasn't going to get paid. He went through the motions on day one and then toys out the pram again. So while initially I feel blame could have been shared, it's 100% in the Simmons camp right now.
I can't tell you how much I hate agreeing with Kane and and to a lesser extent Stu, but they're right.
Let me just say, if you're agreeing with me, that means I take the points because I was first.
I would like to remind the member from South Bank that everybody has a time allotment. Okay. There will be time for rebuttal, and that time is not now. So please, back in your chair, please, and stop flexing. Thank you.
Show some respect, Kane, please, please. No, seriously though, he's acting like a jerk at the moment. Like there's just no other word for it. It's petulant, and you're a max contract player. Like, act like it. He's getting some horrendous advice, clearly, that has just completely derailed. And not only has it hurt his own PR image, and we can talk later about how does he recoup that public image, but he's completely destroyed what little remaining leverage Philly had to trade him and get something good back in return. So at some point now, and as Stuart alluded to, Daryl Morey said today, buckle up, we're in for a long ride now. We could do this for 4 years. Like, they'll just sit him and pay him, and yeah, he might turn up for practice, and so technically, I guess, they have to pay him, and he can talk about back stiffness and things like that, even if, the Philly trainers said, no, he's okay, he can play. So maybe he gets a sick note, Stu, Darren Anderton style. Philly initially probably bore the brunt of the blame because they threw him under the bus after that Game 7. Doc and Joel Embiid both, said, we don't know if he's the guy we want. And okay, so that's set in the heat of the moment, and they walked that back within a week. And Ben's feelings were obviously hurt a lot, but to the point where he's just not forgiving. And at some point, you have to stop doing that.